I've been asked a lot about Tiger Woods lately and what's going on. So the first thing, let me set the stage, is anybody who's a star, anybody who's playing at that kind of visionary level or zone level of whatever they're doing, they haven't repressed their sexuality as much as most people. You know, the average person is only running at about 20% of their sexuality because there's so much repression and sometimes exaggeration. But what happens is the more you let out, the more creative force there is for whatever your world is about. So, and in Tiger, obviously, it's about golfing and sports. So, but there's this great level of sexual energy. Now, there's a lot of relationship mistakes that have been made here. And of course, everybody's made these mistakes as life goes on, but maybe not everybody's had affairs. The biggest mistake in a relationship is that we expect the other person to attract us. We expect the other person to make us happy. We expect the other person to take care of our needs. And actually, this is not a very high level of maturity. Basically, if we realize that we are the ones who bring the attraction after the beginning stage. The beginning stage, naturally, you're attracted to someone, you see them fulfilling needs, and so you're coming to, get your needs met, and it makes you happy, and there's attraction, and it all's good. But then when you get to the second stage of relationship, which is power struggle, if you don't realize that it's what I bring to the relationship that's going to make me happy, then you're in a lot of trouble, because then you'll start complaining, you'll start whining, you'll start nagging, you'll start attacking, because the other person isn't taking care of you in the way you want to be taken care of. Now, in a relationship, when there's a fight, one person is more independent and the other is more dependent. And the dependent one is trying to take from the independent one, and the independent one is dissociated. So, like Tiger's partner, his wife, will be more jealous and possessive and things like this, and her attractiveness, as beautiful as she is, won't be as high. And so her stock has gone down. So when you're the independent one, the key function in the relationship is to keep your energy turned back towards your partner. If you can keep in sexual integrity and value your partner, it just keeps lifting them up, so you have that equality that makes a relationship succeed. Now, if you're the dependent one, you need to value your partner more than your needs, and keep committing to equality, keep committing to partnership, keep committing to the next step. There's one thing worse than having a jealous partner, and that is you being the jealous partner. So if you're have mercy on your partner, if you're compassionate when they have jealousy, and reassure them and connect with them and value them and raise them up, basically you'll keep step by step moving out of this whole pattern. You can tell what your jealousy level is a relationship. Add up the amount of jealousy you have and the amount of jealousy your partner has, and that's how much jealousy you have. So if you help your partner, you don't have to go through it yourself. So this is the first step in relationships. If you don't learn about independence, dependence, you won't ever make it in a relationship. It's the first and most crucial lesson. Now, if you make it past there, you have to learn about how to deal with temptation. Because when you're about to take the next step in your relationship, the ego is going, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? Because it'll lose some of the separation and independence. It'll lose some of the control that the ego wants. And so its best effort to stop us from going forward is that it will create a temptation outside the relationship. And just the quality your partner was about to develop, that's the quality you'll see in the partner next to you. And so if the ego succeeds, you'll have a split mind. You'll be getting pulled in two different directions. Your power will be lessened. Your focus will be lessened. And if you get this going all around you, then your mind becomes split. And you lose that power of your sexuality for creativity. It's not always meant to be sexual. Sometimes it's meant to be creative. It's the very force that makes you successful. It's the very force that allows you to be creative. It's the very force that will have you enlightened. And if you petered out or squandered your sexual energy, you won't have it for transcendence. and you get split-minded and you get guilty when you start having affairs. Let me give an example of this. I've always talked about how this will work if you keep, when you are tempted, notice the quality, that's what your partner is about to develop. So you take the energy, you can keep the connection, the friendship, because you do have a connection with this person, but to bring that back toward your husband or your wife. And within 2 weeks, your partner will have developed the very quality that you were tempted with. In a lecture in Vancouver in 1990, I had a person in the question and answer period, after I talked about this kind of aspect of temptation, he said, wait a second, do you mean to say that if I keep my energy toward my girlfriend who's flat-chested, instead of this woman who has these bodacious tatas, that in that many days and within 2 weeks, my girlfriend is going to have bodacious tatas? I said, what is it you think about when you think about tatas? And he said, well, I think about sexiness, and I think about comfort, and I think about nurturing, and I think about being happy. I said, that's what your girlfriend will have. It's not necessarily the form. I said, but I have received a letter of thanks from one of my Japanese students whose wife has gone up 2 bra sizes because he has brought the energy back to her. So I want you to say, it could be the form, but it will always be the quality. So just notice, what is it I'm tempted with? That's what's about to develop in my partner. Let me just bring the energy back to my partner and keep committed to my partner, and we'll go to the next level. So the key is not to squander your sexual energy. It's there for bonding. It's there to take you to higher and higher levels. You know, when you get to a dead zone, we have a level of what's called the Oedipus complex. And this is triangle relationships. You know, the key form of an Oedipal complex is triangle relationship. That's why Camelot fell. You know, that's why we've had people of vision who've lost their way because they got caught in the whole Oedipal triangle complex. So you have a triangle or a rectangle going on, and it destroys relationships. And it's a pattern that hasn't been healed since childhood. Now, one of the things going on with Tiger is that he was so concentrated on his sport, he didn't get to have his childhood. So for a guy, all of our needs then gets transformed into sex. And we think sex is the answer. But it's something that is never enough, you know, and we keep seeking more and more, but somehow we're not fulfilled. And it won't be fulfilled until we actually start giving what we thought we needed. And that's not just giving sex, it's giving sexual energy, and it's giving to our partner. And then you start reaching these levels of emotional fulfillment, and love and sex gets rebonded. You know, when we're children, before there's a split, before the great split of Oedipus, where we lose that bonding and love and sex get split, you know, it's just naturally subsumed. And it's in the form of love. But now we have sex and we have love. And sex can get exaggerated or repressed as children, or both. And then when we come up into our present situation in our relationships, this is unfinished business from the past. So by this dead zone stage of the relationship, we're bringing this up onto our partner. And we have to learn, okay, now I brought, oh my God, my mother's face onto my wife. And this is all subconscious, but now I feel like, ooh, I'm just not attracted to her at all because it's my mother. So if you have awareness about this, you can communicate it about this. And these triangle relationships are all part of that whole Oedipal trap. So for Tiger, you know, God bless his soul, you know, I just hope he learns about really committing and moving forward in the relationship, because all of this can be healed and they can learn these lessons. It doesn't have to stop here. And he can go on to just become not only what he's been in this sport, but even something more major. And to learn this lesson and to be a good example about relationships and about being a sports icon also. So, Tiger, we hope you get this. I'm behind you, sending my blessings, sending my commitment to you. I hope you do well. Thank you.